Here with us now is retired Air Force General Charles Wald. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time today. I want to talk about this proposal, but before we do that, Secretary Rubio says that the war is over. However, we know the blockade is still in place. From your perspective, what is happening here? What's your interpretation?
Well, I think, first of all, I thought Secretary Rubio did a good job at the press conference yesterday, although I don't personally think the war is over. I would caveat it by saying that until Iran it has their ability to threaten both Israel and their GCC partners in the region, I don't think the war is really over. So I think there's some work to be done, but I think there's progress in the making. Like I said, I would not take my boot off the Iranian IRGC neck until I'm sure they're not going to be able to threaten our friends in the region.
Well, along those lines, so Iran reportedly looking at this latest U.S. plan to finally end this war. President Trump, though, is still threatening to resume strikes. General, where do you think this goes from here?
Well, I don't think the IRGC is ready to capitulate or give in yet. I mean, they're a dangerous animal. Their back is up against the wall. They eventually, because of the economic situation in Iran and both that and the status of their people, they will fall. But there's a ways to go. So my advice to the administration, if they were to ask, would be to make sure that the Israelis or the GCC partners in the region cannot be threatened by an Iranian attack.
So, General, U.S. intelligence assessments indicate Iran's nuclear stockpile has not been touched. Add to that U.S. assessments, again, U.S. assessments suggesting that more than half of Iran's missiles and launchers have survived. So which side actually has the upper hand right now?
Well, I think the United States and our allies have the upper hand, although the IRGC and the Iranians are still dangerous. So you can't point out the fact that half their missiles potentially are still there. I would go after that missile capability, both the storage as well as the ability to develop those missiles. I would also tell the Iranians if they start rebuilding their air defense capability, we're going to go after it. And I would stay in the region until those two criteria are met. I don't want to have Israel or the GCC countries threatened by Iran and have that ability to negotiate based on a threat.
So, General, how do you think this pause, this now pause in Project Freedom, affects the push for an agreement? And then, second part of that, what is your reaction to it being paused less than 48 hours after the president announced that it was to begin?
Well, I think it shows that the pressure is on the IRGC. I'm all for the diplomacy. I think we should do that. We should always look for a peace deal. But the deal has to be such that when it's made that, like I said, our friends in the region are not going to be threatened. So I think we need to remain there. I think the Iranians need to know we have the will to stay there, and we're going to hold on to that until they capitulate.
And, General, how concerned are you about these dwindling U.S. munitions stockpiles?
Well, there's always concern. I mean, I'm a military guy. I can't have enough munitions, but I think we're in pretty good shape. I think the industrial base in the United States is going to step up. We have weapons all over the world. We have friends in NATO that have weapons, and believe me, they'll help us if we need to. So I'm not that worried about the weapons. I think we'll take care of it.
All right. Well, I asked you that because my last question for you, General, do you think that the U.S. does resume strikes in Iran?
My visceral is yes, I think we will.
All right. General Charles Wald, really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole.